the majority leader will have an opportunity, but there were a number of things you said, I think, that need to be cleaned up because they're just not accurate. And so if you look at the members that were kicked off from the minority side yesterday, still no explanation given, by the way, that includes a ranking member of a committee and an officer in the United States Navy who was removed yesterday by Speaker Pelosi with no reason given in an unprecedented way. Maybe Speaker Pelosi and maybe this majority don't want to see all the facts come out, because they were surely raising, those two members who were removed yesterday were raising very serious questions that ought to be answered. Whatever those answers are, whatever those facts are, they were publicly raising questions. And maybe because they raised those questions that might be uncomfortable for the majority, they were removed from the committee with no explanation given. That had never happened before in the history of this Congress. So again, if you want the facts, don't sit there and say that you want the facts if you're going to remove people who are trying to get facts, who are raising serious questions that should be answered. They raised them publicly, and they were going to raise them in the committee, and maybe because they were going to raise those tough questions, they were removed by the Speaker. Members of the minority who were removed by the Speaker. I don't know if that's the new precedent that the majority leader wants to see in the future, but I'll tell you, since the gentleman likes quoting Liz Cheney, I will read this quote from Liz Cheney. Quote, "Speaker Pelosi and the Democrat majority have no business determining which Republicans sit on committees." That is from Liz Cheney, if the gentleman wants to quote.
Is that a quote about Ms. Green?
That is a quote about Ms. Green, but it's a general quote about whether or not, whoever it is. You can go down your list. By the way, there are members of the majority who were on that committee who voted on January 6th to reject electors. Maybe not this year's January 6th, but as the gentleman knows, every Republican president this century has had Democrats on this House floor object to electors being seated, including multiple members of the January 6th committee on the majority side. They weren't removed. In fact, they were appointed by the Speaker. Yet two of our members who raised very serious questions about facts that should be answered, wherever those answers lead, were removed because maybe the majority doesn't want all the facts to come out. Maybe they only want a certain narrative to come out. That's not an investigation. That's a kangaroo court if that's the approach that's going to be taken. But the action taken yesterday by the Speaker, the unprecedented action, undermines the credibility of that commission, and it's a shame for the institution because the members we appointed were going there to find the facts, to help participate in finding the facts, and clearly that's not the interest now of this committee. That was exposed yesterday in the Speaker's unprecedented action. It's not something that this institution, whether it's Republicans running it or Democrats, and as the gentleman knows, that pendulum swings both ways, but never before this year had a majority removed members that minority leaders submitted for committees. It's just not what's happened in this institution, but now it seems to be the norm because maybe some people that are asking tough questions are asking too tough of questions that this majority doesn't want to be answered.